Welcome back, guys. My name is Dominic Pascucci from Signature Homes and Estates.
And this is AJ from AJC Realty Exchange, and welcome to Real Estate 101. What are you talking about today?
We're talking about the process of buying a property.
Right. There's 9 steps to the closing process, and I'm going to list them for you right now. Number 1, you have the contract. Attorney review, inspection, mortgage application, mortgage appraisal, title, certificate of occupancy, CTC, which stands for clearance to close from the bank, and the closing table.
So first you have to like the home.
Yeah,
that's number one.
That would help.
That's number one.
That would help.
Then there needs to be negotiations where you submit a contract to the other party and have what's called an executed contract between the buyers and the sellers. And we do that between the agents of meeting of the minds.
The biggest one, no contingency of purchase. I don't need to sell. My buyer does not need to sell something in order to buy this property. Let's start with that.
It's definitely a lot more attractive for the average seller. There's nothing to really sell and hold back or kick back. God forbid if the property does not close in time. That is a major factor with any transaction, because now basically you're having another entity that is, we have to wait until that one's closed. I really want the people who are watching here to understand, in the aspect of negotiating at the time when there's multiple offers on a property, as a realtor, you need to be able to understand the scope of the situation. Not just the seller or the property, but also the agent that's listing. You need to understand what's coming out into play. That's a huge factor just right off the cover page of this whole situation.
And that's right on the money. Yeah, it's an offer package, because a lot of the times you say, well, I'm offering this price and that's it. And there are times where it is very simple. I'm offering this price, we're doing an inspection, and that's it. But when it comes to multiple offer situation, there's what type of inspection you're doing to make it incentivized, how much your down payment. If you want to contribute to closing costs, I mean, if you want to go that far, you could definitely do that too, to entice the seller in a multiple offer situation to take on some of their closing costs. You could do all these crafty things, and that's where, and I know for a fact that people watching probably have no idea what we're talking about until this, and that's where we come in to educate you on these things to get you the home of your dreams if there's a multiple offer situation. But let's move on to AR, attorney review.
So basically, attorney review is when an executed contract is in play between the seller and the buyer. It's provided over to their attorneys if you decide to use one or not. We always recommend to use an attorney. We have the executed contract, and attorney review will last 3 days. Now, that can be extended depending on how intense attorney review process between the selling and the buyer's attorney.
Yeah, it's very rarely 3 days. It's usually like 5 or 6.
Right, but that's
sometimes
protocol on attorney review is a 3-day.
72-hour, yeah.
Right. After being under contract, we OPRA the property, which means any open permits with the township, county, etc. What modifications they may have done on that specific body of real estate, and then we provide that information over to your attorneys. Being under contract, there's a stipulation normally in the contract, unless the attorneys decide to change it, where there's a 14 gap from the time of being under contract to do a home inspection. That can lead to many different variables. You have possibility of septics. You have a possibility of an oil tank in the ground. You have a possibility of radon. So an everyday home inspection is different based upon the location. So where I sell in, for example, Sussex County, there's a lot of septics and wells. And then if you were to go to Morris County, you have certain areas where you're going to have oil tanks in the ground still. They haven't been modified. And if you're getting a loan, you're not going to be able to close out that transaction without that oil tank removed from the ground. So we are predominantly doing not just only the traditional home inspection, but also testing and radon too, because you're on a mountain.
Let's say that you want to waive the home inspection. Is that a good idea?
It's not a good idea.
It's horrible, but how can we use the inspection to this point where we're not going to do a full one, but maybe we can tweak it a little bit to make it advantageous for the seller? Because basically we're saying, I'll tell you what, my buyer wants this house so much that I'm going to limit it to catastrophic only.
the home inspection is only strictly structural or environmental issues at hand.
That's what we call a knowledge purposes only inspection, and that could be advantageous in a multiple offer situation. And this is only for multiple offer situations. Always do the full shebang inspection, the whole 9 yards. And what can I find in inspection as an agent? We haven't even gotten to the professional one yet. I might walk in and I might see a fault crack in your basement that looks to be a little bit suspicious. Doesn't mean it's huge issue, no. But the biggest thing that I look for is mold.
Yep.
Mold is something that can be formed in a wet environment, like it could be a curtain that's been hanging in a basement, a perfect area for mold, and God forbid black mold, which could be a killer. You want to get your mold tested. Asbestos, okay, I know how to look for asbestos. We deal with that a lot in Jersey City. All of those things that I look for before the inspection happens are just me looking around the house and saying, hey, you know what, maybe we should, get the inspector to have special attention to this. And you might be saying, well, why do I do this? So you're safe.
You can disclose that, or you should disclose that to your clients. And a lot of agents don't do that, and that's not how we operate. So after home inspections are concluded and addressed, you then go and apply for, through your mortgage rep, a appraisal. Then have the appraiser come out and assess the property. Basically, they're doing the same thing that the comps that we run on comparables. The only difference is it's on them. They hold the money.
And they're a licensed appraiser.
Correct.
We're not appraisal experts.
No. What happens next, AJ?
First you're going to do a backflip, because that means that the home is pretty much getting ready for you to be prepped to purchase. You're going to go for title. A title search is when we look for clean, equitable, and marketable title for you as a buyer, and that will give you the recorded deed. And to make sure that there's no clouds in the title, make sure it's recorded correctly, just to make sure that the correct land description is there. Everything that's in that title, it means it's yours and it's free and clear of any clouds. And what's after that?
After that, or even in between that whole process, is the CO and Fire Bureau or smoke certs. Some towns, believe it or not, do not require a CO unless they're new builds. That depends on the town. So the seller would normally procure those permits and execute them. If not, there is a way to, in a negotiation where the property is being sold as is, and the buyer is responsible for all municipality permits. What's after that? After everything's all squared away with the municipality?
Now you're looking at the CTC.
What's a CTC?
Clearance to close. Clearance to close, baby. We're done. And the mortgage company will get what's called a HUD-1. HUD-1 is all of your financial closing costs laid out specifically, because when you sell a property, you have to pay your mortgage. If you owe a mortgage, you got to pay that. Got to pay your commissions to us for doing our service. You have to pay your transfer tax, which is usually 1% of the house. If it's over $1 million, in your case, millionaire's tax.
Yes.
And then the bank will say you are clear to close. That means it's done in underwriting, and then we can then move to the best part, closing table.
We do the final walkthrough.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Final walkthrough to make sure the property was not damaged in the way that you saw it.
You're not wrong.
Okay. And if there is, guess what? There's still negotiations even at that end.
It's rare, but it can happen. I've had it happen. I would say 90% of walkthroughs are very successful. The chances of a bad walkthrough are like probably 10%. Okay, now we're closed. You got your HUD-1 documents. You have your final closing costs. At this point, you have your keys. You can celebrate. All the documents are filed. All those great steps. You have us as your liaisons to guide you through the process, and really making it a tour, an experience. And what I love to do when I show a house is show them what it could be. Like, we love doing that because we know what it's like to see someone happy with their keys. It is the best feeling on the planet, and we are your expediters through all 9 steps. Can you do it without an agent? Sure you can. Are you going to get the same price for your home? No. Is it going to be done as fast? No. And are you going to be a happy guy when you realize we could have got $30,000 more for your house? Also no. So make sure that you call us and let us do our thing, because that's what we do. We get you more money and we get you the best rate for your home, whether you're buying or selling, because we are your home for buying your next home, right? So thanks guys for tuning in on the closing, all the way from contract to closing, your ABCs, your 1, 2, 3s of Realtor 101. I'm AJ from AJC Realty Exchange.
I'm Dominic Pascucci from Signature Homes and Estates.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. We look forward to doing a deal with you. Our information's available. I'm ready. He's ready. Let's get it done. We'll talk to you soon.